Trevor. How are you doing?
I'm all right, considering, London Tier 4 lockdown.
Do you reckon we could go into Tier 5, Tier 6? I mean, what the fuck's going on there, really?
We don't want to talk about it, do we?
More Contagion. It's like some dystopian movie that you didn't quite direct. Do you know what I mean? It's fucking crazy.
It's so intensely frustrating, and it's really too much. It's just too much to handle. The incompetence of our government is beyond even.
I'm going to rise above the fucking awful Tory government, to be honest. But I'm talking about my experience, right? My experience in Bali is my daughter Bayu's not left the house in like 10 months, and that's insane. Because for a father, and I mean, her condition is a relative. I mean, it's relative to me, but it's a relative. But 10 months is a huge amount of time, and that has impact on any sort of child or family or whatever. And it's essential to lockdown. We all know it is, and COVID is very, very fucking real. That's for sure. But I mean, what impact has that had on you, just as a creative, Trev?
I mean, it's a difficult because I put a post on social media a few days ago saying how it's kind of infuriating seeing some people how they can be so incredibly creative and productive during these times. Now, for me personally, I find it very difficult. I've done quite a bit of work. I haven't done as much work as I normally would. And being creative for me personally, as much as normally creativity is an escape for me, my creativity has normally been an escape from my own personal problems. So if I've had a bad shit going on in my own life, I can deal with it through being creative, right? But this situation where it's a complete global, or just take it to the UK, because people that live in Vietnam, Taiwan, different situation, New Zealand. But I personally find it quite difficult to focus as well as I should when there's so much suffering around me. It's so bleak. So it's definitely affected me. I've been able to function.
Distracting.
Sorry, what?
Distracting.
It's a distraction, and I think, and I'm not berating people that have managed to be creative. Kudos to them for doing it, but I can't shut that out. I personally, and maybe it is. I know it's an age thing, I don't know, but I've struggled with trying to.
What's the end to this? I mean, Brexit's getting. There's 50-50 chance on the table. There's a no deal Brexit, which is.
Man, this is going to be a serious conversation. I thought we were going to have a laugh, mate.
Oh, we're going to have a laugh. We're going to have a laugh in a minute, brother. Believe.
It ain't going to get better for a while. I do my best to be positive, and I'm a strong believer that things, I've said it before, people don't necessarily like it, but things have to get really, really shit before they get better. And so, I don't think we've hit the level of awfulness yet. I think there's worse to come.
Rock bottom.
But I think once it gets to that stage, I'm not in any way talking about monetary or materialistically, but great things will happen from that. People will have to think in different ways, and people will form new, I think there'll be a reaction against all the shit that's going on, and hopefully there'll be a lot of positive creativity will come out of it. I think now's not the time yet, but when it's over and people have to pick up the pieces, I think there'll be opportunities for younger creatives to really do exciting things,
What, to literally do culture shifting things, like a pivot?
I think probably, because I think the thing is, it's, I think there will be, because I think there'll be opportunities. I think so many companies will go under, so many people have smaller budgets, so many, for people like myself, it'd probably be more difficult. But if I was a younger upcoming creative, I think it would probably give it a year. I think people hope, undoubtedly we'll get through this. And when we do get through this, I think there'll be, people will have to heal themselves with positive, proactive actions,
Yeah,
So,
it seems to me the music industry is very fastly being broken down into like massive pieces, like the insurgence of like, you know, Bandcamp and subscription deals and the whole thing. I find fascinating in that company called Dink doing this incredible, beautiful product.
Yeah.
But there seems to be this huge void between that and fucking Spotify and the majors. I mean, surely there has to be a bridge between that. I mean, is it possible for an independent artist to survive? Do you think? No.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think the thing is that there's a huge gap between there has been for a long time between the underground and between the mainstream. The mainstream.
Oh, brother, right? It's a lot bigger. You could sign an underground record 10 years ago to EMI and get to, you know, the top 5 or whatever. Now it's.
I think the audience is. I think that you know, for me, I think about it as two very separate things. I think that the bigger companies, they're talking about products, lifestyle, monetization. It's a business. It's an industry, right? And the other side of it is, are people making great music that want that building their own fan bases and people that want to own something that this band has made, you know, be it, you know, buying vinyl. If you're a fan of a particular band, you want to keep the vinyl, you know, you want to have the vinyl, you want to have it in your hands. And I think and you know, I just think in terms of it's a more organic, more natural, more honest and real form of communicating with people through your music. And there's space for both of them. There's space for both of them. There's records on major labels alike. You know, I'm not going to cuss every major label because some do good things, but I think now they operate in two very different ways, and I think there are ways for bands to survive now.
They're very separate now, right? Richard Norris was telling me a story the other day. But he started a subscription thing and how he's doing this product through Dink. And it was selling out like within 24 hours, gone.
Yeah, I mean, but Rich has been in the game for a long time.
Yeah,
and so he's built up a fan base. I think it's obviously harder for new people, but there are opportunities now to take control of things and do it yourself. It's in some ways it's harder. I mean, for me, unfortunately, because I do loads of different things, so I don't have to make it. I've never had to look on making music solely for my main income. But I don't. You know, I pity the bands in between. I pity those bands that are kind of like aren't quite big and mainstream, but they're not underground. They're in between, and they want to kind of cross between those music dimensions or those musical worlds, because that's where the struggle is. If you're kind of like, you know what, I want to write great songs, but I don't want to be like Coldplay, but at the same time, I don't want to be like Buried. I want to be in between, and that's quite hard because those middle ground labels, I think that's where it's more difficult, you know. But,
yeah, and I guess now it's about buying catalogs of music, right? You know, that's what they're throwing all their money into, is just ownership.
I mean,
okay, let's get off the music thing, Trev.
Yeah.
Like, I was trying to put some questions around speaking to you.
Were you?
Yeah, I've been quite professional, by the way.
You've been very. I'm very impressed, man. This is
professional as I can be, as an ex-media dude. So, like, some of the most sort of life-affirming record sleeves I bought, I didn't know until about the last 10 years that you actually designed.
Shut up.
No, for real. You know all the sleeves I'm talking about.
No, I have no idea. I actually don't know.
Yeah, you do. Like all the champion stuff, I had no idea. So I mean, what age were you doing that, and what was the influence, and how the fuck did you get that gig? That must be so difficult at your age, unless you're in your mid-80s. I'm pretty sure that was a difficult gig to get, man.
It was a different world. I mean, you know, back then, late 80s, early 90s, was I a teenager? In my early 20s, I was probably a teenager still. All I wanted to do was design record covers. I used to work in a record shop, and that was my passion, so I wanted to do it. I was living at home with my mum and dad.
Yeah.
So I went around, I was at college, design college, and then when I left college, I was like, I was still living at home, didn't have any money to leave home. But I thought, you know what? I'm just going to go and see all the record labels I like and tell them I'm going to work for them for free because I don't need any money because I'm living at home.
You had a portfolio to show them.
Yeah, I had a portfolio of work, but not professional things I've done, just my college stuff.
Yeah.
And I'd go and see record labels and say, look, I love the music you're putting out. Let me do a couple of sleeves for you for free. If you like it, then start paying me. And that's kind of how it worked with Champion. I did that for Mark Moore S Express. That was one of the first sleeves I did. That ended up being a #1 record, which is mad. But same again. I met him. I remember he was DJing, I think, with Dave Durrell, I can't remember. He was DJing at the WAG. After he stopped DJing, I was like, Mark, I heard you got a record coming out. Can I design the sleeve? He was like, well, can I see your work? I said, yeah, I'll show you my portfolio. And he's like, well, come in next week and bring your portfolio. So I went to the WAG Club with my big ass fucking A0 portfolio in a booth and showed him my work. And Mark was like, I love it. Let's do so. And that, it was just.
Wow, that friendship goes back that long time, and that's amazing.
Yeah. But the thing was as well, you've got to remember at that time, so I was this kid, teenager, and most of the other design companies were all run by middle-aged men. Yeah, they were all big companies. You had these companies like Stylo Rouge and, all right, you had Malcolm Garrett and Assorted Images, but they were proper companies, right? And I was this individual. I was just this kid. I didn't have big overheads. I probably charged 1/10 of what other people were charging, but I knew the music. I don't even know how I knew that Mark Moore had a record out. Probably heard someone play it out, or I heard it on the radio, or read about it in a magazine.
It was a hustle.
Well, I wouldn't say it was a hustle, but it was.
Hustle, man. It's a great hustle, for sure.
It was. I didn't see it as hustling back then. I just saw it as it was a small. The clubbing scene in London was very small, so it wasn't like there were thousands of people. We kind of all knew each other, and it was like
amazing, man.
Yeah, but so that's kind of how it wasn't hard. It actually, I slipped into it really easily because I was part of that culture. That's what I was into. It was my world. I wasn't pretending to be something I wasn't.
Yeah. You only have
breathing it.
You only have a few years on me, but I mean, what can you remember a record sleeve you saw, Trev, that like blew your mind? Was it Peter Saville? Was it Summer Out?
That was probably it was definitely. I've spoken about it recently for someone else, but it was I think it was obviously Blue Monday and Confusion and Power Corruption and Lies.
And did you? And we got some overlap here on the sound.
Yeah, someone's talking. Hello, not me. It's a girl who's talking.
That's gone. It's okay. Yeah, I remember as a kid seeing like there used to be a record store in Somerset called Our Price, and I was super cool. No, it's called Acorn Records, and then they had Our Price, but Acorn Records was the boutique store, and they used to line up all the sort of factory record covers, and I was just so fascinated that I'd buy them. But I'd buy hip hop covers just on their sleeve.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
I'd literally buy it's like buying a book on its sleeve and not knowing anything about it. And I think the importance of that, which worries me about digital and streaming, is like all you see now is thumbnails, right? Thumbnails on Spotify. I mean, how can you have that immersive experience again with music?
But this is why I'm going back to the people that embrace that. Music is a different thing to them. Streaming platforms. I mean, I'm quite different with streaming. I use streaming platforms to discover music, then I buy it. I'm probably 1%, 0.5% of people do that, right? But the majority of people that use streaming platforms now, I believe music is just, music doesn't have, for a lot of people, doesn't have the same impact it used to have.
It doesn't blow your mind, no? I'm not 18, man.
No, but I don't mean the age. I mean the purpose of it. Music serves a different purpose to a newer generation, to a lot of younger people. The fact you can access. For me, Spotify, I don't have an issue with it if everyone paid for it. What I have a real issue with is people be able to use it for free, and I don't care I know that Spotify will tell you that, okay, but you'll get paid from the adverts. It's actually the message you're sending people. It's too late now, but the fact is, if you tell people you can have every single track in the world for free to hear a few adverts, that demoralizes, and that actually, it devalues the the world of music.
That boat is gone, right? Does that make sense?
Gone. It's gone. But as I said, but there is a hardcore audience of people that still want to buy and purchase music, right? But generally, music is being treated like it's always been treated like a commodity. But now it's got to a point where, a lot of kids are more excited to play Fortnite and play video games, which I play video games anyway.
I agree. But like playing devil's advocate, do you not think when we were growing up, there were just loads of people that actually didn't like music? They weren't so obsessed as we were. That, they had maybe people that had grown up to stream music on Spotify. I mean, I know obviously that population has got more vast and bigger and broader, etc., etc. But I don't think you can never cut the people that I call that like music but don't like music.
The problem, but the thing is, but back then you had to make a commitment to listen to music. You had to pass some money over. You actually had to. Well, you had to do different things. You had to leave your house, even if it was a rainy day, it snowed, and you had to leave your house and go to the record shop, find it, pay for it, and come back. So you're making a commitment for that record, which means the more of a commitment you make to something, the more it means in your life. If you can literally just go on and click on something, that's it. It doesn't have the same impact on you, however good the music is.
My explanation is, or put on the fucking radio. That's what it's the same market.
No, what's the same market?
No, I'm on about when we were growing up, when you had to buy physical, when you really like physical product was everything, literally everything, to obsession almost. I mean, but that's fine and rare. But I'm on about the Spotify market. I think it's 80% of people, if you took it back to the 70s or 80s, they're the sort of people that would have turned on the radio all day and listened to it, and they're happy with it.
Yeah, but
maybe. It's no different. It's no different.
It is different. It is very different, mate. It's very different because the radio, someone else is selecting the music, right? When you listen to the radio, I remember when there was a track I liked, I used to have to tape it off the radio. But now, the thing is as well, what that means as well is, radio is still important to a lot of people, right? But curators and DJs and producers, their radio producers are important because they select music, so you trust people. Now, if you're selecting your own, you don't, there aren't enough good editors out there. There's loads of editors out there. There's loads of people presenting your playlist and shit, but there aren't that many enough good ones out there,
Yeah, I know, but the only way I can sort of quantify in my head what's going on in the music culture at the minute with Spotify is it's like turning on a radio in the late 70s. My mum turning on the radio to cook breakfast. That's how I see.
Yeah, in the background. Yeah, possibly. Yeah, potentially. Yeah.
That's how I see Spotify. So that platform's kind of never left. I don't know what the royalty split used to be on radio in the 1970s. I'm sure it was a lot better.
More money. You got paid a lot more money on the radio. You get a lot more radio now than you do on streaming. But as I said, I'm not anti-stream platforms because all I'm anti is people paying nothing for them. But I use them. I've discovered, I've got the Discovery browse thing in Spotify. I've used the hell out of that. I've discovered so much new music from it.
Yeah.
But that is music I've ended up buying or playing on the radio. So I use it in a positive way. And I think, I'm not, as I said, I just think that the way it's set up financially is wrong. But the concept of it, you can't go back. It is what it is.
Completely and utterly fucking wrong. Yes, it absolutely makes no sense. And I think there needs to be a bridge made between, as Bandcamp sort of expands and subscriptions expands. I think more and more artists will leave Spotify, maybe or not, I don't know, but I think that there may be a middle ground model. What do you think? I'm not too sure.
I don't know, man. It doesn't, if I'm really honest, it doesn't interest me that. It's like the business side of it. Ran record, I've been involved in music for so long. The business side of it just bores the fuck out of me.
Oh, it's terrible.
All I care about is the music and the culture. That the other side,
if Homeboy can't pay his rent, he can't make his music. Well,
if Homeboy can't pay his rent, as it's always been, get a fucking real job. Because if anyone's under the illusions like, oh, I want to be a musician, that's going to be my living, then I would suggest maybe you should think about having another job at the same time. It's just the way it is. It's always been like that, you know. It's always been hard to earn a living from music.
Yeah. So, which brings me to another point. It's about diversifying, right? So, I mean, when do you have pitches come in for like Gen Z bands or new bands that are super young on major companies, and they ask you to pitch for them? And I mean, how does that work when you know what you do is so detailed and precise? I mean, is that even an ask anymore from a major? So say there's a 20-year-old band, right?
Yeah.
They're super hot, super cool, and they want Trevor to do the campaign.
Yeah.
How does that work? Is the communication different than it used to be? They want different things.
The thing is, I don't do that much work. I mean, I do a lot of work, but I don't do that. I pick my projects very carefully. So I only do the projects that I have some connection with. A lot of the time, my projects just come through friends or people that I know, you know. So I wouldn't say I'm at the top of a list of a lot of major label commissioners to work with. And I don't get over that. I mean, I'd be happy to work with you. I'd be happy to work with young bands. I'm you know, if something's exciting, I work with anyone that's exciting. It's no different. But it's the only thing that's different is that back in the day, record labels used to have art departments. So I remember one of the first person that ever commissioned me was this guy John Pash at Chrysalis Records, and he designed the bloody Rolling Stones logo. So there was a guy there worked at the record label.
Internal designer.
Internally, wow. Who actually commissioned me. So when I went to see him, he said, do this, maybe change it. I'm not like thinking, who the fuck are you? I'm like, yes, John, you know your shit. And you tell me what you want, I'll do it. Whereas now it's different because you have people that, you know, a lot of record labels don't have art departments, or they have art departments just full of art workers who will want to change the art. You know, the most frustrating thing is, sadly, you'll do an artwork, you'll spend ages with the artist creating a concept, and they'll say, okay, just give us the files and we'll do all the adverts, we'll do the posters. And I'm like, well, hold on. It's all as important as each other. But they just have some kid in their art department that will take your artwork and fuck with it and make it look shit. And that's the worst thing.
I didn't know art departments even existed at major.
Some do, but it's more like an artwork department. They're not full of creatives necessarily. So that's why it's different. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I'm sure XL and smaller labels have a creative team that's a bit more clued in, but a lot of bigger labels, it doesn't work like that necessarily anymore. It's quite different, and that can be quite frustrating.
But you can see it's changed a lot.
It was changed, of course, but change. There's a lot of change for bad, but there's a lot of change for good. I'm certainly not. I'm not one of those people like, oh, I wish I miss the days of just doing vinyl. You know, it's kind of, I do more digital stuff now, and I couldn't have done that then. So
I think it's a really exciting time. I think that the whole boutique subscription, like free for all thing is really, really exciting. Richard introduced me to this company called Dinked, and I was just like, what the fuck, you've been on their website? I was just like, I've never seen anything like it. The production was like second to none, and you know, these very, very expensive records sell out in 24 hours. It's super interesting.
I did the thing with Ed Banger and Tommy Guerrero last year, and they released it through a French version. You know, it's like a subscription model. They announce the record and then people buy it, and then the money that comes in, they pay for the pressing or whatever. It's shit like that. It's good.
Yeah, and people have quite happily paid $30, $40 for a beautifully produced 12 or, you know, 50, 60 for an album.
Yeah.
But, you know, at the same time, do you think that through what we're going through, do you think that punk aesthetic will come back, you know, with the youth? Just so like
I'm an old man. I'm not a kid. I don't know what I
was speaking to Dave the other day, right? Dave Durrell.
Which Dave?
Dave Durrell. And he was telling me about this guy I never heard before, and he was just pushing out white labels of like just these amazing cut-ups. And they were just gone. And all they were just like a white label and a white bag, rubber printed, douche, gone, $25, gone.
Yeah.
And I find that fascinating. So do you think that punk aesthetic will come back?
But it's here. It's never gone.
Right. Okay.
I don't think it's ever gone.
Not for that money. That's for sure.
Mate, there's one of my favourite hip hop albums of the year is by this guy called K.A., right? And I've never been. I didn't know there was vinyl for it. I've only had the only way I can listen to it is I can either buy the digital from his site or listen to it on streaming platforms. And I found today it's like there was a vinyl edition. He did 365 copies for $100 each.
Wow.
Sold out. This isn't a big MC. It's quite an underground MC. And I'm like, wow, and I actually would have paid it because it's such a brilliant record. And I'm gutted I missed it.
What did it look like?
What it looked like?
Yeah.
It was pink splattered vinyl. And the cover's not amazing, but the music is incredible. And I would have paid $100 because it's just the record is like a milestone record for me.
But vinyl only.
No. It's available digitally, but due to so many people loving it, he decided to do a vinyl edition. But and the message on his site is really good. He's like, yeah, man, if you like my music, it's more important you feed your family. Don't pay for this if you can't afford it, which is cool. And I went on Discogs, it's like £450 now or something. It's crazy. But if you put out good enough music, you build up a dedicated enough fan base, you can kind of support yourself.
Yeah,
to a way. And that applies to anything. That applies to any creative.
I strongly believe in that, but it takes a sort of ninja back room to sort of put things in boxes, or not
at all.
Print the T-shirts and do all this and like the whole shebang. I don't know. I find it fascinating, and I'm definitely, I'm all in. I'm all in.
So how are you going to release your album then?
I'm going to leave that up to my manager. So we'll see, but it's just everything's changing. It's changing so fast.
Change is good. I like change.
Me too. But do you think the good music will come out of it or not?
Mate, there's fucking good. So much good music all the time. I do my radio NTS show every 2 weeks, or try and do it every 2 weeks. I buy 200 tracks every fortnight. I can only play 50 of them. There's so much good music. I haven't made music for ages because I'm too, I feel intimidated by the amount of good music I hear. There's so much of it out there. You sourcing all that through Bandcamp, Trevor, or no? No, I love shops like Boomcat, Bandcamp, Juno, Phonica, Rough Trade. There's all the shops. I buy my music from all different shops.
So you feel positive about the future of music and design? I
feel music and design
and life,
all
three.
It's hard. I feel positive about music. There's so much of it. Life.
Lay off politics, so I'm laying off the life.
No, it's fine. It's all right. My work is my life, right? So they're connected. And I'm inspired, and I'm inspired at the same time. I'm hindered by the world around me. So I can't just. Some people can just switch off and be like, "This is my job." Well, I'm not. It's not my. It doesn't work like that for me. Different thing.
Yeah, but being a father really suits you, I think. So you've got a different outlook on things for sure.
No, I've always had the same. I've always had the same.
Not really. You're a little bit abrasive. You're much more cuddly.
Fuck off.
What's your plan for Christmas, brother? Is there one?
Just have it at home. Just a family Christmas at home, and can't see my parents. Sadly, first time I haven't seen my parents at Christmas. Probably ever.
Yeah, pretty much me as well.
But we've decided that when all this shit dies down a bit, we'll have a Christmas in March or April, May, June, July. We'll just do it later.
I think there is an end to this for sure, right? There really is. It's
like a virus. It's evolving. So I think the change will come by rapid testing. So you've got a situation where you can test someone in 5 minutes. Events, clubs will just reopen. You know, you'll just get tested, or everything reopen. If you can test someone that quickly, things are reopen. Restaurants, you go to a restaurant, they test you. Wait, if you don't have COVID, you come in. If you do, you have to go and isolate. I think that's what's going to happen. I don't think COVID's going to go anywhere. It'll mutate every year, be like a flu.
It's all about testing, right? It has to be.
It's all about testing.
You go into a club, bar, restaurant. You need a very accurate test.
It's all about testing and track and trace. And this country have ballsed it up as badly as it possibly could. Spent 22 billion on a track and trace system run by a moron, hopeless moron that doesn't work.
Yeah, embezzled lots of that. I'm pretty sure.
Just all the money was given to Boris's mates. I don't call him Boris Johnson's friends. You know, the piss take. But hey, don't want to talk about politics.
So what's happening next, Trev? You've got a music project that you're focusing on, or
I've got something in my head, but I haven't. I'm gonna. This year regardless of what's been going on, it's been a pretty busy year. So I think what I'm going to do is, normally January is quite quiet. Things start kicking in towards the end of January again. So probably beginning of January, I'm going to start trying to make some new music. Maybe I'm thinking, but there's no great urgency, and I do it when I've got to be in the right headspace, the right state of mind.
How did the Deftones mix go down?
How what?
The Deftones mix.
Oh, the fans hate it, which is so good. The fans absolutely hate it, but the band loved it. But the band, I thought it was great. I was hugely flattered because like the people on it. What?
Heavyweight.
I mean, that's the idea. But I mean, the thing was, I'm flattered because you got Clowns Casino, DJ Shadow, bit heavy hitters, and I'm like even though I've probably been making music longer than most of the people on most of the remixes, they asked me to do it.
How did that? Was it an artwork thing? You did the graphics?
No. They got Chino for the band. Love my old remixes. They love my music. And I got an email from the manager saying,
"No way."
I did it like 6-7 months ago. I couldn't talk about it. They're like, "They love your work. Can you do a remix?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'd love to." And I did it. And they're like, "This is great. We love it." And they spoke about it in all the interviews. They liked the way that I deconstructed it. They wanted a dub mix, so there's hardly any vocals in it. And I just took it straight.
Industrial dub. It sounded like industrial dub. It's killer. It's nice.
Thank you. Kind of. I mean, there's elements of the original in there, but most of the fans have really gone out of their way to talk about how much they hate it. But the band knew that would happen. But I'm fine because I've never done. I did it for my clients with a band. If they like it, that's all that matters. If I like it, they like it.
The band like it. Deftones it.
Yeah, apparently they like. I mean, in most of the interviews I've seen, they pick it out as one that they really like the most, which is it's really sweet.
Done deal.
Yeah. So that's been, I was really satisfied. I'm not doing many remixes at the moment. It's the first remix I've done for ages, so it was, man. Good.
I may pin you down for a remix for me, Trevor.
What?
I may pin you down for a remix for a mountain.
You haven't sent me any of the music yet.
I will. David will, or I will.
Okay, I'll be down. If I can do something super weird and strange for you.
That's exactly what we need, to be honest.
All right, good. Done.
Mate, I'm going to wish you love and your family.
Is that it?
That's it, man.
All right. It was lovely to talk to you.
You want to talk more? We can talk all night.